Hello friends, I'm Brekke. I'm the Working Writer Mom, and this is a channel dedicated to balancing your career, your creativity, and your kids. And I am here doing a little bit of a declutter. Those of you who saw my declutter of my bedroom know that this is the table that we set up because we get our twin 10-month-old daughters ready for bed in here and ready for the morning in here because our bedroom is teeny tiny. And I've got some of their clothes up there that just came out of the wash because I am transitioning them from 9-month clothes into 12-month clothes. Oh yes, they're 10 months old and they're in 12-month clothes. The 12-month stuff is a little big, let's be real. They're not very chunky babies, they're very long babies, but we can't wear the 9-month clothes stuff anymore because we can't get it over their ginormous heads. The babies both are about 50th percentile for height and weight as far as being 1 month premature, but their head circumference is like the 95th percentile, and the little, it doesn't go over their heads very well, and they are getting long in the torso where we can't really snap the onesies anymore. Like I said, 12 months is a little bit big, but I'd rather have them be a little bit big than too small, and their ginormous heads won't let them fit the regular 9-month onesies. So we're transitioning, and I have a couple of families that I am giving my outgrown stuff to. There's a family in town where the granddaughters, well, the daughter had twin girls, so we're giving some of them to them. And then another family I'm giving some things to, and then the domestic violence shelter is getting some things. So my room's a little bit messy. This is a pile of other stuff to declutter. I'm trying to sell on Facebook Marketplace, and it hasn't really gone very well. Let's see if I can set you down. I was trying to sell some stuff on Facebook Marketplace, it wasn't going very well, so I'm gonna give it one more push, and then I'm just gonna donate it to the domestic violence shelter because it will be useful there. All right, so what I wanted to talk about while I was being productive, which is a little bit ironic, like it's an ironic conversation, is toxic productivity. And it's ironic because here I am doing a project where I'm also filming a video, so I'm trying to be hyper productive with my quiet time while dad has all 4 kids downstairs, because yes, my husband has all 4 babies, well, 2 big boys, a 10 and 12-year-old, and then my littles downstairs. And the reason I want to talk about toxic productivity is it's a response to an older video by Lindsay Puckett. If I can find it, I'll link it, but if not, you can search it. She was talking about being toxic productivity and how she was defining her self-worth by her ability or inability to be productive. And she has, I don't know if it's a brain injury or an illness, but she has an illness that affects her ability to focus and major headaches and things like that. And so she was feeling like, oh, if I'm not writing a certain amount per day, then I'm not useful, right? I'm not valuable. My value is in my productivity. And this is something that I know I struggle with a lot. My productivity having to do with my value. And this for me is linked to being a writer. If I'm not working on a creative project, then am I really a writer? Am I really being successful? Am I forwarding my career? But it also is true for me as a mom. You know, if my house isn't clean, if I'm not spending every single moment cleaning, decluttering, organizing, serving my family in a really tangible way, am I using my time appropriately? That is something that I struggle with hugely, you guys. I struggle with it when it comes to my free time. You guys, I don't watch a lot of TV. I don't watch a lot of TV shows because I have a hard time chilling out. So if I'm watching something, I want it to be educational to some degree. Like, it doesn't have to be explicitly educational, it doesn't have to always be a documentary, but I would much rather watch something nonfiction, like a real life story, or a YouTube videos about books or writing or parenting, than watch a TV show, which is bonkers. But that's just like, it's such a ingrained thing for me that your time is valuable and you need to be using it in very specific ways that showcase value. And so what does that mean for us? What are these beliefs about our value being defined by our productivity, and our value being defined by the things that we create and how quickly we can create them? And how is that further impacted by the fact that we're living in a massive global pandemic where our ability to create is probably diminished because of constant exposure to trauma and stress, right? I don't know. I mean, I don't have answers. I'm just asking the question. And the reason I'm asking the question, and the reason I want to talk about it, is I have found that, you know, I have several books outlined. I have currently sitting on my computer the outline for the first and the middle grade trilogy, or potential trilogy. The book itself is designed to stand alone with a potential trilogy, like basically a standalone with the door open for a duology is the way I've outlined it. I also have 2 adult fantasies, one a portal fantasy and then one like a high fantasy, outlined, like the 15 beats of the Save the Cat beat sheet plotted on my computer. And then I have a sequel to the YA contemporary queer love story, well, it's more of a companion novel, outlined on my computer. And then on my old computer that crashed, I might be able to get it off, I have a companion piece to a YA low fantasy historical fiction, like the same world, totally different story, that's also a Snow White retelling plotted, right? That's like 5, is that 5? I think 5 or 6 plot, like beaded out character development work done stories. And I feel so guilty that I don't have them written yet, that I don't have them finished, that I don't have more progress made. We're at the end of Camp NaNoWriMo for July 2020, and y'all, I have been working on nonfiction writing programs, and I've been making my hours, but they have been in building a website and writing blogs for that website and learning how to do social media stuff and all these other things that are productive, but are they the right kind of productive? And if I'm just hanging out scrolling, is that appropriate? And am I allowed to just watch Robin Hood Men in Tights because it's fun? And the answer is yes. I watched it last night with my family and it was hilarious, although maybe not as kid appropriate as I thought with the whole like chastity belt thing. But I know what it's like to feel like your worth is in what you're producing. And if you are not working on something, are you really a writer? Or are you a creator? Or are you a creative? Or are you really building your career? And if you're not constantly learning, then can you be a professor? The answer is yes. But I live with these competing ideals around rest and around Sabbath and around our worth being in who we are, not what we create, but also with this competing idea that like your time is yours to manage. And if you want to see the fruits of your labor, if you want to have that book published, you have to do it. So how do we give ourselves grace? And y'all, I'm not sure. It's been a hard balancing act. And I think for me, taking time away from like my fantasy writing, my fiction writing, to work on some nonfiction projects. I'm not even reading a novel. Like there are no books that I'm reading right now. I'm listening to a ton of podcasts. I've kind of allowed myself this for July, is not even trying to read a book, which a year ago would have made me like anxious. Like, what do you mean I'm not reading a book? Right. But now it feels like, yes, we have seasons. And what does that mean? And how do we use that well? And how do we shift? How do I shift how I understand myself when I'm not defining myself by my productivity? It is really easy to beat ourselves up, you guys. It's really easy to look at the ways in which other people write. I'm gonna call it out because I know we're all thinking it, but we're not all V.E. Schwab, right? We can't all write 4 books. We're not all Nora Roberts. We can't all write 3, 4, 5 books at a time. We can't all write in that manic season. And I think even those authors would say it's an intense writing style that may or may not be healthy. Your value isn't in whether or not you write a book a year, or whether or not you write a book every 5 years. Your value is in your inherent worth as a human being. And since I'm a Christian, I would say made in the image of God, right? Your worth is in your humanness and not in your things that you create. And that is a hard thing for us as creators. It's a hard thing for me, because I so want to be a published author and I so love creating, but I also feel guilty if I'm not creating or I'm not creating enough. You have to step back. We are all in crisis mode, and it's okay to not be productive. It's okay to have Sabbath, like real rest. And that's something I need to tell myself. So maybe I'll just rewatch this to remind myself. And you have to have the rest in order to have really quality productive time, because if you're always scattered and burned out, then the productivity isn't all that great, is it? So I'm trying to remind myself that my worth is not in my creations, and it is not in how much work I do, but in my inherent worth, and that it's okay to have a season where I'm not producing, when I'm not producing fiction, when I'm not producing video content, when I'm not reading at the rates that I would like to. That's not a reflection on my worth, and that is something I have to remind myself of and be okay with it. And I'm working on it. I'm not perfect, but I'm definitely working on being okay with imperfection. As you can see, I've got imperfection everywhere. Everywhere. So friends, comment down below and let me know, how are you dealing with the need to be productive? I know that when I get stressed out, people feel the fight, flight, or freeze mode. I'm freeze. And so I have to actually make sure I don't freeze too much by letting myself get too stressed out. I did just have TMJ. As you guys can see, it's much better, but it's still like lingering. It's not 100% gone. So how are you guys dealing with stress? How are you guys helping to identify your worth not in your productivity? How are you balancing the fact that we work at home, or we live at work, or however you understand this work at home lifestyle that we're kind of in? And where are you? How are you resting? I need some ideas. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'd love to have you on this journey with me and to build a community of creatives who are balancing all the things. I hope you guys are all doing really well, and I will talk to you soon.